On this week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast, David and I talk about 10 digital marketing must-haves. We slow it down a bit. We talk about express sales process, ePencil, and as Doc Brown would say, some serious shit. All that and more on this week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast. Welcome in to episode 037 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. My name is David Farmer from Entice, and with me, as always, is David Bertoncini.
Hello, Mr. Farmer.
How are you doing?
I'm great, man.
You go ahead, please.
I'm very excited. Hopefully my volume's not too loud because
Right?
I come in strong sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come in a little soft, but today coming in like
I'm coming in a little bit more subdued this time. I actually, when I was editing our last episode, 036, I think that I must have had like 18 too many cups of coffee that day. Man, I was just like trying to fucking burn through the episode and just kept on talking and talking. So today, I'm going to take it a little bit easier.
I'll pick it up though. No.
Yeah.
We'll keep the pace. And
Yeah, exactly.
We'll take it at a Las Vegas pace.
Las Vegas pace?
Well, Las
Okay.
Vegas pace, because they tell you when you're in Vegas, and if you're, you get free drinks when you're playing the tables or slot machines.
True.
You got to slow it down because they're trying to get you drunk so you make some bad decisions.
Yeah.
So we'll go Vegas pace. Means we're just going to slow
Slow
it down
a little bit. Yep. And today we got some information to put. I put together for this episode, but I wanted to take some time and just kind of reflect on where we're at right now. I mean, a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of crazy things going on. So we're going to get into a little bit of current events, topical, and we're going to talk about some specific things that dealers can be doing today in turbulent times.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that.
Like doubling down.
Yep,
I would
absolutely.
Actually,
Yep.
we can get into
blocking
doubling
and
down on some
tackling.
stuff. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Doubling down on some best practices of, hey, where should you be putting your ad dollars in the time of turbulence?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we've got some information to cover with all that.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note.
Know that so today no coffee of the day today. I do have Sumatra Starbucks coffee, like my go-to favorite. I think you brought a little Kawa coffee in, so
My
you're
go-to
ready to
favorite.
go.
Yep. It's funny is what I did today, which I should have done like a year ago, is I actually got their app. Just like Starbucks
nice.
has an app, and
Yeah.
you have your prepayment on there. You just scan and go.
Love that.
And it's fancy. That means I'm coming along in the world. It's like
Yeah.
I'm moving up, man. It's like George and Wheezy. I'm moving on up
Yeah.
to the Kawa Coffee app. But since it's hot out today, it's going to hit nearly 80 degrees.
Yeah,
here in
it's a
Florida.
warm one.
We went cold nitro coffee,
Yeah.
which is cruise control for me.
Yep.
That's good.
So, in Modern Dealer Podcast Studio, you notice I'll always wear a sweatshirt. I actually keep it quite cool in the office, probably somewhere in the low 70s in here. We kind of keep it a little chilly, but that's the way we like it. So, I love the idea of what Starbucks is doing with their app, and apparently Kawa Coffee is doing with their app, where you can just order and pay for it on your phone before you make it into, the cafe to pick up the cup of coffee. And I think that kind of really relates to how consumers want to buy things today, right? I was actually talking with the dealer earlier today, and we were talking a little bit about ePencil back in the day, about what we did with that, with being able to create transparency about the car purchase process, and we would fax them copies of that ePencil worksheet that gave the payments, but then people would bring those in. So it's almost kind of like the same thing, right? Back then, is they're trying to do more of the purchase process at home, in the car, in the app, and then just come in and have an express process to pick up the cup of coffee, right?
Agreed with coffee, and of course purchasing anything else right now, and we've got Uber Eats. We have so many different ways to make things happen faster. But in light of this being March 10th and what's going on in the world with, we are here in the state of Florida, and we're in a state of health emergency with the coronavirus and everything going around. So you think about spending less time in public places.
Yeah, that's a good
by
point.
pre-ordering your coffee, you're just walking in, walking out, trying not to touch too many handles or come too close to too many people.
Like this.
Right? I'm taking the bottom of
go
my
in,
shirt. Yep.
Grab your coffee.
go. You got your shirt pulled over. You just run in.
Exactly.
You just grab this real fast. It's like somebody farted, so you just got to run in real fast and get it and hold your breath and just run out and just try not to touch anything. But it's like that's how consumers want to purchase nowadays. They want to buy a car fast. They want to get their coffee fast. I was thinking, my wife's big on this the coronavirus being on cash.
And here's me like touching my face like crazy. My eyes and my mouth.
Allergies. It's the allergies, man. And that doesn't even help me either because people are sneezing and from the allergies. But so I got the app because now I don't have to pull out my wallet. I don't have to touch any dirty cash or hand a credit card to somebody and hand it back to me.
Even if you're gonna pay with Apple Pay, you still have to press that OK button right after you do it. It's like, oh, I mean, I don't want to touch anything.
You just scan to their level up scanner. It's like beep, beep, and your QR code, and you're in, and it's done. So
very cool.
But I mean, that's just in light of the presence in the State of the Union right now, where we're at, as far as the world goes, as far as economic turbulence that we feel like we're about to hit some pretty crazy shit's about to is popping right now.
Just like Doc Brown would say, right? You're about to see some serious shit. I love that.
In a way that hopefully as the U.S. will pull the nose up on the plane here and level off and reaccelerate. But things will definitely change after these times. We'll look back to the year 2020 as like that marked the time of change to this, and this. And whatever the outcome of these A, B, and C new plays that we will create from these times, people will look back 100 years from now. It's like, well, it was in 2020 that shit happened. Just like
you're right.
They look back at 1929 as the Great Depression. They're like,
well, I mean, if you look at really the history of some huge monumental shifts in our society. We look at, back in 1917, 1918 with the Spanish flu. They've talking a lot about that right now. I mean, killed millions of people around the world. 1929, you brought up right there, that changed the world. We talk about the Great Depression and how that affected a generation of people. And then we talk about our generation, right? 2002 or 9/11. Right? That you get pre 9/11, post 9/11, the Great Depression, right? Or a Great Recession, 2008. That changed the way that we do things, right?
How we get loans on houses have changed.
Yes.
How, the 9/11, our air travel has changed. I mean, all these things that have happened will cause a ripple effect into so many different things. Anyone right now that doesn't think that what's happening in the world doesn't affect their business, they're fucking blind. I mean, I don't care what business you're in. If you're from catering to, dog washing or walking, I mean, fucking everybody's going to get affected from what's happening.
Airlines, travel, especially
cruise industry.
Cruise industry.
They're getting the back door right now because, the Department of State says, don't take a cruise ship unless, A, B, C, D, E, F, all these boxes are checked. If it doesn't, if you're missing a check box.
I mean, and just people around that I've talked to recently have already said, I'm never going to take a cruise again, or I had planned on doing some traveling this summer, not going to do it. Plan to go to Disney World, not going to go to Disney World. I mean, so it's definitely changing the way that we are making decisions about what we do.
So how does it fall back to the car business? Because you got to think of all these hourly employees, all these people that work for Disney around the Orlando area. You got to think of all these people that work for tourism. And
our biggest industry here in the Clearwater, Tampa market, tourism, right?
Yeah. So I mean, spring break is here, and how many spring breakers are not going to come to a gathering? Coachella got postponed.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know South by Southwest canceled, basically, right?
You've got actually a big music festival in Miami. Another one was supposed to happen this weekend, and that one got canceled.
Wow.
So just lots of gatherings and things like that. But all those employees come buy cars from you.
Absolutely.
So how in these times will you throw up a billboard and says, hey, come buy a car from us? I got to tell you a funny story, and I just heard this one on the way over. So there's a local strip club in Tampa that has 10,000 masks. And if you pay for admission, you get a free mask if you pay for admission to their strip club. I mean, that's doing some digital marketing. It's creative. A Facebook ad.
Yeah.
It came up as an ad. They're like, Oh my goodness, that's crazy, but that's some creative marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to take that route, but that's thinking outside the box.
Yeah, it is. And some of the things that I started to look at and started to think about, well, how is this really changing? What are some specific things that we can point to today that really have shown what's happened over the last few weeks is changing our business? One of the things is you look at stock prices. Now, today is the 10th, right?
March 10th.
March 9th, yesterday, the stock market dropped by almost 2,000 points at the end of the day. Largest point drop ever.
In history.
Mm-hmm. It rebounded again today. I don't know where it's at right now. In the middle of the day, it's 2 o'clock. But I know that it rebounded 800 or 900 points, the halfway back to where it was yesterday. But looking at some specific stocks in our industry, look at Carvana. Back on February 21st, which was
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
yeah,
about 3 weeks ago,
$110 per share. They're at 58 today.
Half price deal.
Yeah, half price. Wow,
Yeah.
that is crazy to think about. Now they also had they released their 2019 numbers the other day. I don't know when they actually released it, but we covered it last week or the week before. It was last week. Yeah,
lost $500 million.
Yeah, that probably helped get them to where they're at right now. Maybe they will rebound, but I mean that's something specific that we can point to. What's going on right now is making some changes. Ford, I looked at their 52-week high. We actually talked about it in our Entice meeting this morning. That one of our guys said, "Did you see that the article about Ford stock that they might go down to zero?" I go, "What do you mean zero?" He said, "Yeah, like penny stock zero." And I said, "Are you kidding me?" Wow. He said, "Well, that was the name of this article." And so I looked it up. The 52-week high for Ford was $10.56 today. Today it's at. Today, when I checked, was at $6. The 52-week low was at $5.80.
But think $6 for
I know.
Ford.
It's amazing, right?
Which shit. Carvana at $58, and they're just a used car reseller. We're talking about the manufacturer.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
It is crazy. Another thing that I decided to look up too is I wonder how the SAR, what the SAR looks like. So the seasonal adjusted annual rate of sales for automotive, and I'll put the graph up here so you can kind of see what it's been doing. But from like 2016 on, we have this. We have this leveling off and then drop that's happening, and it'll be really interesting to watch this. As we move forward in time, if is it going to drop for March, April, May? What is this summer going to look like?
It's going to look like a reflection of 2010. I mean, look at the all-time low of 2010.
Oh, I know, right?
Compared to that was at 1980s numbers.
Yeah. Well, you remember that time too, 2007, 2008, 2009. Yeah. Oh, this crazy times.
2000. Yeah, I mean that was really that's when you had your bailout.
Yeah.
Your cash for clunkers. You had all that stuff that the administration was doing back then.
And you could probably see where that huge spike
right
is.
there. That's your cash for clunkers right there.
I was just going to say that's probably cash for clunkers right there specifically because it dropped right back down and then it's been this slow climb back up, and for the last
10 years, man, to dig out of that hole.
Yeah. 5 years actually, 2010 to 2015, and then so I mean that's crazy, kind of plateau, and it's starting to dip back down. So it'll be interesting to watch this, but it kind of brings up some ideas, and that's what I thought our main topic would be today. Is what are some 10 digital marketing must-haves I figured we would talk about today. And some of these things are free. Some of these things are things that we've covered in the past. Some of these things are just kind of review of things that you're probably doing right now. But I think that today is probably a very good time. It's early in the month. It's going to be March typically is usually a really good month for a lot of dealers, right? Yeah. But this will be a good time to really evaluate what your marketing looks like, what you can do, not necessarily about where you want to trim or what you want to trim, or even if you want to at all. I mean, I don't know where you're at specifically, but just some good best practices to think about going in and tweaking a little bit.
Doubling down on like you said, these 10 digital marketing must-haves.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously digital is going to be your best way to, because day by day things are going to change. You're not going to put something. You're not going to put up a billboard that, we have a face mask here at the dealership.
Yeah.
Obviously the strip club found Facebook to be the best, or I think it was Instagram. There was an Instagram ad, but it was the best distribution for that. They know their market. They know what they're doing. They know exactly where to put it.
Target market.
So hats off to those guys. Man, that was genius. But how would a dealership in this on the 10th of the month, the first third of the month is already gone, and shit, man, I'm pretty sure if you looked at your pace from 2019 to 2020, where the hell are you at, man? If you're off pace when obviously circumstances beyond your control are contributing, but how do you fucking pull the nose up today?
Yeah. And I think really what it comes down to is looking to see if you can find that pot of gold, right?
Shiver me timbers. I got the pot of gold in my socks today. Was that a segue from my socks, man?
That was a good segue, right?
Well, since it's the 10th and we know a week from now, actually next week will be St. Patty's Day. We'll be recording on St. Patty's Day. Yep. So, I found me Lucky Charms on my socks of the, which this is I'm seeing Dublin, which is obviously some beer drinking socks in regards to St. Patty's Day, but the socks. Coming back to our topic, man. St. Patty's Day celebration in Dublin, 500,000 people expected, canceled. Which,
a lot of fear out there. A lot of fear of the unknown. You know, whether you believe that this is something to be afraid of, or if you believe this is something we should just ignore it and just carry on with life. I think the issue is that there's a lot of unknown, and it's the unknown part of it that I think is creating some mass hysteria about what's going to happen. Pandemic, right? Is it going to kill hundreds of people, thousands of people? Who's going to get affected? I mean, there's just so much unknown, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's the fear that it puts in people's minds, man. That's why you can't find any rubbing alcohol. You can't find any sanitizer.
I know.
You can't find any of that on the shelf.
Toilet paper? Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard about the toilet paper.
Well, no, it's a thing. It's a real thing. So what's happening is that people are thinking about, well, what happens if I am going to have to self-quarantine myself? And it's creating this idea, and a lot of people are jumping on this. It says, what would I need to have? And I don't know. It would be interesting to find out, but I don't know who started the idea that it's going to be hard to get toilet paper, but it is a real thing that people are stockpiling on toilet paper. People, you can't buy the
sanitizer,
hand sanitizer anymore.
Wipes,
but it's crazy.
Stuff. So, I mean, clearly that's the reality of it is just look on the shelves of your local drugstore or supermarket, and you'll see fucking empty, man. That's the scary reality of it all. But there's got to be an upside to everything, and to me, the glass is always half full.
It is.
So
literally
half full.
That's pretty good. So with that, we're about halfway through.
Exactly. I was going to say that's actually a perfect segue to call this halftime.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a half. But before we take our first break, of course, we want you to come back. We're going to get a lot of great tips to talk about in our second half. And for everybody that might have caught us for the first time, we might want you to take just a moment and
like, share, subscribe, follow us, and be sure to turn on, if you're watching us on YouTube, please turn on notifications.
Ding!
And make sure that you're alerted every time we put out new content. And also, we do have some special episodes that'll be coming out also from our NADA trip last month from Las Vegas.
Yep, need to do that.
Lots of good stuff that we've been leaking out from our interviews and such. But please take time to do that and send us some comments. Let us know what you think. I actually want to
when we come back, do that.
We'll take notice of a loyal fan when we come back after these messages.
right after this message. And I do want to say that if you do subscribe and turn on notifications, we record on Tuesdays. We put out our content on Thursdays. As soon as we drop it on YouTube, you're going to get a nice little notification letting you know that this latest episode is out. On that note, we'll be right back. See you in just a few.
Selling your car should be easy. Say hello to Express Cash Offer. You can trade in your old vehicle for a new one, or sell it to us. Either way, we'll buy your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. You can get an Express Cash Offer for your trade-in that's good for 7 days. Here's how it works. Just upload some interior and exterior photos of your vehicle, along with a photo of your VIN and one of the odometer. Our professional used vehicle appraisers will review the information and provide you with an Express Cash Offer in just minutes. After a quick on-site inspection of your vehicle, we'll hand you a check, or you can trade it in for a new ride. With Express Cash Offer, we'll even take care of paying off your loan if you have one. Selling your car should be easy, and with Express Cash Offer, it is.
Welcome back into episode 037 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. We're going to jump into a conversation that you had with one of our listeners. We'd love to get this feedback. It's gratifying. I know that last week when I was going through the editing, just reminded myself how much work goes into this. Is it really worth doing what we're doing, putting all this work in? So to get some good positive feedback is very important for us to continue to put the work in. So thank you, everybody who has been a loyal listener. And you had an opportunity to have a good chat with somebody, right?
Yeah, so the listener of the week is actually Kenneth Williams with Action Buick GMC in Dothan, Alabama. Ken, appreciate you watching the show,
yes, we do.
Listening. And you know what? The positive feedback I got is he's a small Buick GMC store in rural Alabama, and he says, "Man, there's always something to learn from our show."
Cool.
One of the biggest things he picked up on was the soft credit pool availability that's available through Entice, and that you can find. Usable to grab a customer which is just on the fence.
Yep.
You throw that out there to them, and they're like, "Well, hey, that seems pretty safe,
Yep. And I think the value of it is, where do you have an opportunity to really engage with the consumer when they're on your dealership website? I mean, what actions can you get a customer to do? They are going to be looking for inventory. They're going to go to search results pages, VDP. They're going to look at images. But what are you going to provide to get them to engage and convert? Mm-hmm. So our loan maker tool, where a customer can just provide their first name, last name, physical address. We also capture their email address and phone number, but we give them their real FICO score. We do a soft credit pull, so it doesn't show up on their bureau. It takes like 5 seconds to get it. We give them that, so they're getting something in return for providing their information, converts them to lead, and then we put them in. We give them the opportunity to complete a full credit application that ultimately will go right into their
CRM.
Not just their CRM, mm-hmm. but also right into either Route 1 or Dealer Track.
Correct.
So definitely a commercial for Entice, but I mean, I love the idea of being able to give somebody something for them filling out a lead. So that is really cool.
And Ken Williams there is he's a finance manager that listens to the Modern Dealer podcast, and his career track is he's looking at a career track to become a GM of a store.
Awesome.
So of a store.
Yeah.
So listen to the Modern Dealer. He actually gets a lot of actionable ideas that he would take to moving forward his career.
Cool. So I love it.
That's
it.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Man.
Yep.
Gives me goosebumps.
Now, I know that you were also chatting with him about and just the conversation that we were having before we turned the cameras on today is just having a better understanding of what customers are doing on their dealership website. I think most people, at least the people that I talk to that are dealers, one of the things that kind of is recurring is they're saying, "I hate my website. My website sucks. It's slow. It's a mess. What can I do to change this? And I think that's kind of like the norm. And not throwing mud at any one of these website providers, but from a dealer's perspective, I think it's important to really understand how that all works. Right? You have a website platform that dealers are buying from a website provider, and then you have somebody at the website provider that maybe they've been there for a few years, maybe they've been there for a few months, but they're tech support people. They're not marketers, they're not dealers, they don't know your market. It's really up to you to be able to go in and get it tailored to the way that you want to be able to engage with your customers.
So you shouldn't be showing convertibles in truck country then, right?
That's
stuff
one,
like that, right?
Yeah.
So definitely get your arms around that. But thanks, Ken, for watching and listening to the Modern Dealer Podcast. And moving to...
Okay, so let's kind of get into our main topic. So I put some things together. Google My Business. So this is episode 001 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. Google My Business is a platform that is available to you and your dealership for free. There's no cost to it. There are some specific things that you can do and use Google My Business to communicate, your brand message to your customers. One of the things that you can do, which is actually new, it's a new feature for Google My Business, is products. And with the products area of Google My Business, it gives you the opportunity to share products that you sell, products or services, really. So it's not something that's available for car dealers only. It's available for any product, right?
So I'll give you a little Google My Business plug here.
Cool.
For so I had recently got a new storage facility. So extra space storage. And it's funny is I had stored with those guys, and the only reason why I stored with them because I realized I had so many locations. I was picking up some storage items I had from an old storage unit in Northport, bringing it up. What happened to me, and this is a crazy story, is as I was driving the Skyway Bridge, there was a vehicle fire, and it showed a 3-hour delay on the bridge, standstill traffic. So I had to drive around the whole bay. My storage facility I was going to, this extra space, is in St. Pete, so I had to drive all the way around Tampa Bay, an extra 52 miles to get there. Now, they close at 6, and I had to sign my new rental agreement for the storage unit, and I wasn't able to make it there by 6. But what they did, me and thinking outside the box, the manager goes, go to our other location in Tampa, sign the agreement there, buy the cylinder lock you need, and just come in and your code, and you get to use it there.
Cool.
That was cool. That was fine. Wrote them a kick-ass Google review. When I did the review, I realized that, holy shit, I'm the only person that wrote a Google review.
Wow.
And I went to their Facebook page for that specific location. Now, they have a bunch of these locations. I think they have like 10 around Tampa Bay, probably more than that. I was the only person that followed their Facebook page.
Wow.
So I reached out to them, and I was just like, what is your marketing strategy? And it's funny, as an old friend of mine was a manager, and she reached out to me, and she goes, hey, I just see you rented a unit with us. How have you been? I haven't talked to her in 15 years.
Wow.
And she said, we 100%, going to the topic here, we 100% do no advertising. Our only advertising is Google reviews, and we're required each month to have 12 Google reviews. Now, this is a brand new facility that's opened up. I was like one of the first people to rent there, and gorgeous. I mean, these facilities, they must have spent millions and millions on facility, property, location, everything. Millions of dollars they have tied up. Zero in advertising, 100% depending on Google My Business and Google reviews. End of story.
It's a very, very powerful platform. Google is really getting behind Google My Business as part of their value proposition to end users, and they're enhancing it. So, I mean, just in the last 12 months, there's been some major changes to the Google My Business platform. And really, we should even say in the last 6 or 7 months since we covered Google My Business the first time. Products is one of those things where you can actually put, think about, here's a way to use products where you can take your inventory, you put it on Google My Business, just like you might in a newspaper, right? You think about old newspaper ad, you're going to have, we'll reference Toyota, since that's kind of right. You're going to have your Camry, your Corolla, your Tacoma, your Tundra. You're going to have your pricing, whether it's pricing from or a monthly payment or a lease payment. You can do the same type of thing. Take what you used to put in a newspaper and put it on Google My Business. Customer can scroll right through all of that. They can click through and go right to a specials page or a search results page on your dealership website. You can add a UTM code to that URL so you can actually track that in Google Analytics. So there's Google Analytics is free. Google My Business is free. All you have to do is take the time to build that out and put it on your Google My Business page.
Have somebody manning that page. I mean, manning that page almost like a social media platform, because
I would, yes.
It's that powerful. I mean, people, the very first thing they do is, if they're searching, obviously that's going to be the first thing that pops up, unless they're on Bing or Yahoo, which I don't think anybody uses.
Well, yeah, and what's important to understand too is, what is Google My Business? If you just go to Google, put in your dealership name, hit search, you're going to see on the right-hand side, you're probably going to see an image of your dealership. If you haven't uploaded anything, it's going to use the Google Maps images, right? The Street View image there, but you can upload whatever images you want. I would be uploading images and adding posts, on a weekly basis, keeping all that information fresh. You have the ability to put in your scheduling, and this actually kind of comes to another part about Google My Business that I wanted to address, is that there are some people out there stating that you should not only have a Google My Business page, a Google My Business account for your dealership as a main account for the dealership alone for like sales, but you should also have a separate one for service, a separate one for body shop. Now, I don't think that's a good idea. The reason I don't think it's a good idea is, like, if I'm a service customer, I'm thinking I want to go to XYZ Toyota for the service department. I'm not going to go and search out XYZ Toyota service department to get that Google My Business listing. I'm going to put in XYZ Toyota to get to that dealership. I just happen to be a service customer.
Right.
So you add a second Google My Business account, that means everything that you're doing for the one account, you have to do now for two.
Right.
You do for three, now you have to do for three. So you have to update the posts. You have to update the products and services. Where if you just have one, like you have a website, one website, you have one place to make those updates and changes. That's my recommendation. Now, there is ways in your Google My Business listing to put multiple department times, open times, close times. There's a way to do that. If you want to know how to do that, we can talk about that on another episode. But that is one of the things that you can do today in March 2020 to make sure that you're leveraging things that are available to you that doesn't cost you anything.
Yep.
Highly effective.
I like a 4-letter F word, like free.
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 Yep.
Like, what is that, TurboTax or something like that? Free. But yeah, Google My Business is that powerful for a company that big. Extra Space Storage, which has at least 10 locations in Tampa Bay. Yep. I'm pretty sure nationwide they probably have hundreds of locations, but just simply depend on SEO.
Yeah, so if you need to spend less money in your advertising budget, but you want to be more effective, take some of that time and put it into Google My Business. And that kind of goes back to one of our recommendations, is to have somebody there at the dealership that is handling your social media. Consider the Google My Business social media.
I had a conversation with a dealer today, spends $10,000 a month on their social media, which they have no control over it. And this is like just garbage. They're I'm not going to say the name of the company. Provider is posting for them, but just absolute stock photos and nothing has to do with the store's culture. It's people. And I'm like, well, who's the face of your dealership? And why do we have to have one? The dealer asked me, why do we have to have a face for the business? And I said, because they can buy a car at any dealership. What's personalizing your store to make it someone want to come to see that person? And like using the Facillo group. I mean, Billy Facillo is an excellent marketer. He may fucking irritate the shit out of you, but he's an excellent marketer. When it says it's huge, everybody knows, Facillo. I know where to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's that brand message, whatever that is. If it's that you're huge, if it is that, you have a lifetime warranty, if it is that you offer an express purchase experience, whatever that brand message is, you can use Google My Business to get that message out there.
You've said that in many of episodes. Let your process be your brand.
Exactly. Yep.
Booyah.
I love it. All right. So, we're already 13 minutes in, so we're not going to have time to cover a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to kind of keep this episode to like 20 and 20. So one of the things that we've talked about on the Modern Dealer podcast before is if you have Google Ads, which you should, and it doesn't matter if you're spending $1,000 or $30,000, you should be having some money in pay-per-click advertising. I would highly recommend not pulling out in times like now. I would say, if anything, just reduce your spend. But if you're going to reduce your spend, you should make sure your account is optimized to get the amount of impressions and clicks, the most amount of impressions and clicks for the money that you've invested. One way of doing that is using the maximize conversions bidding strategy. We'll leave it at that. We won't go into that too much, but that's one way to make sure that your dollar goes further, is to use that maximize conversions bidding strategy. If you want more information about that, shoot me an email, make a comment below in the Modern Dealer Podcast YouTube account, and we'll reply back with some additional information. But maximize conversions bidding strategy. The last, another thing you can do in Google Ads is to make sure that you have that linked to your Google My Business account, so you can start to track store visits, and you can even use that store visits as a conversion, so you're actually optimizing for visitors to your dealership showroom, which I think is a big opportunity.
Moving into YouTube.
Yep.
Slide right on YouTube. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, as we said before, be sure to turn on notifications. But as a dealer posting to YouTube, we just had this conversation last week with Jeff talking about, the face of the service department. Do you make it a mechanic or do you make it a service advisor? And he suggested making a service advisor that had been there for a long period of time. So when customers come in, that have maybe just brand new to the area, or like, oh, this is the guy that's always in all the videos.
Yep. Putting
that together versus a spokesperson, which, remember AutoNation had Dan Marino as their spokesperson. Where it's like, well, and some customers are coming, hey, where's Dan? Of course they know that Dan's not going to be at AutoNation Chevy and off of Nebraska Avenue in Tampa. No, it's not going to be there, but he was the spokesperson. But somebody that a customer can connect with, using their YouTube for so many things. I mean, it's you can go back to episode, I think it was 030, which was our somewhere around there, which was our YouTube, just talking about how many things you can use YouTube for. And times like these, you better be all over that like a
So that's another So that's another organic platform that you can use for free by creating video. So, I mean, if you are in a scenario where things are slowing down, and I'm not saying that it is going to slow down, but I think there's a lot of fear out there right now. And I think there's a lot of conversation is where can we pull back? One way that you can maybe double down is by spending more time and energy in creating more social content to create impressions and so on. Once you create YouTube content, whether it's organic or whether it's just your TV spot that you're putting on YouTube, one great way to get that message in front of the right people, and again, it doesn't matter if you're spending $1,000 or if you're spending 10,000 on YouTube. Custom intent is a great way to make sure that you're putting your message in front of the right people. So how that works, it allows you to target customers that search out specific search terms in the Google search box. So if I want to buy a car in Tampa, if that's your search term, now you can target anybody that's searched for that term in Google. I think it's one of the magical things that's available for YouTube targeting. So again, organic or paid content, you can put that against a custom intent audience. Whether you're spending 500 or 5,000, that's a great way to increase your viewership on YouTube.
Ha-ha. Social media and Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Organic posts, and that was the conversation I was having with that dealer earlier today, just talking about his organic post. He was actually looking at a dealership. This dealership is, I was mentioning to you, it's in Tennessee, way outside of Nashville, about 100 miles outside of Nashville, in a town of, well, some small, you come from a small town. How many people are in your town?
60,000.
This was 700.
Yeah. I also lived in a couple other towns when I was growing up, 6,000, 7,500. So yeah, I have definitely a small town background.
So this town was 700 people that this Ford store was posting, heavy on YouTube, heavy on Facebook, but had, in a town of 700, they had 13,000 people subscribed to their YouTube.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm like, wow. I mean, they're going beyond, but that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And hey, you turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the hand they were dealt.
You go back in time and you look at some of the most successful dealerships around the country. The size of the city that they're in isn't the number one indicator of the success of the dealership. There was a Dodge store back 20 years ago. It was one of the top Dodge stores in the country, and it was also in a small town of 5 to 15,000 people. Can't remember the name of the dealership, but I mean they were just killing it, getting people to fly in and drive home.
Yep. Well, I think of the town, so down the street from us, we do have the number one Ford dealer in the U.S., which used to be Gaplin Ford over in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, you have millions of people. We're in Tampa, Florida, in Brandon. So Brandon Ford, now the number one Ford dealer. Yeah. How did they do it? Well, they utilized everything, man.
Yeah, marketing, brand story.
Yep. Brand story.
So specifically with social media and Facebook, Instagram, instead of just saying, are we doing this? Here's some specific things that you can be looking at doing. Of course, you want to have some organic posts. You want to be able to give the feeling of what it's like to be in your dealership showroom, to kind of remove that mystery of what it would feel like. I mean, I would even recommend, taking your phone and walking into the dealership and walking around the showroom. So now somebody has that idea. There's no more fear because I know what it's going to look like. And you can even say, when you come into the dealership, walk over to the left-hand side. You're going to find our receptionist. Ask, this is Bobby. Bobby's our receptionist. She's been here for forever. I'm here to, talk to somebody. So anyways, you can kind of just create that, demystify what it would feel like walking into your dealership. That's one small thing that you can do from an organic posts standpoint.
Well, you've done that actually with salespeople that follow you with your daily post, giving people ideas of what to post. I'm like, what should you be posting? I'm like, well, just follow this guy here on his Instagram. He'll tell you on LinkedIn. He'll tell you on Facebook. I mean, basically, if you don't know what to do, then just simply turn to
social media tips for salespeople, and it'll give you a ton of ideas. And that's really what that's designed to do. It's just kind of spark
6 months of ideas back posted on there that you can just thumb through and like, oh shit, well that's a good idea. And you wouldn't get that from turning it over to, let's let our marketing agency do that. You've got these numbskulls that have never spent a minute in a dealership, and they're
or yours, right?
Yeah, your dealership, and they're trying to give you content from 3,000 miles away, or 300 miles away.
All right, cool. So just a couple things on some actionable ideas that you can use on social media and Facebook. And Instagram, organic posts, of course. You should be posting your specials on there. Inventory ads. I mean, this is a great thing that you can be doing, and you don't have to be spending a ton of money either, depending on, regardless of what size market that you're in. Make sure that you have a Facebook pixel on your dealership website, that you have inventory ads that include your inventory fed right into these data-driven ads, and then that you're running Facebook events, which you could do yourself or you can sub that out to somebody else. But there's organic posts, specials, inventory ads. Make sure you got the Facebook pixel and look to create events. So this also goes back to the dealer playbook for auto dealers from Facebook. We talked about it a few episodes back. These are their recommended best practices. For more information, check out that video. We'll link it up right here as well. And the last thing we'll do before we get in, we're already 23 minutes in, a little bit longer than I wanted to, is make sure that you have conversion tools on your dealership website. So if you get traffic to the website, that you're able to engage them and convert them to leads so you can start the conversation to get them into your showroom. So think about it from a customer standpoint. They come to your website. What would happen if they wanted to schedule a test drive? What would happen if they wanted to get a trade value? What would happen if they want to get pre-approved? What would happen if they wanted to calculate a payment? What if they want to find out about finance products that you offer? Is your dealership transparent? Is it clean? Is it simple? How is your CTAs set up on your website? Those are things that you can do in the slow times now, if it ends up being slow, to make sure that you're getting the best value out of your marketing messaging. With that, I'm going to do a quick analytics insights 2020, and then we're going to roll into your 3 tips. Mm-hmm. So the first, in my analytics 2020, I want to talk about remarketing. So remarketing allows you to market to customers that have visited your dealership website, however they got to your website. So if a customer gets to your site with analytics remarketing audiences, you can segment those visitors based on the activity that they completed on your site. For example, if you only want to retarget customers that have visited specific vehicles on your site, all you have to do is set up the remarketing pixel or tag from Google Analytics to track people that are visiting VDPs. You can do the same thing for SRPs or service pages, or you can retarget anybody that's been to your website, but maybe exclude customers that scheduled service, or vice versa. And then you can set up search retargeting, so search ads on Google Ads for SEM, and then you can also set up display and video ads. And you can also do, just like you do on Facebook, you can do vehicle retargeting, inventory ads on the Google Display Google Display Network, including all of your inventory there as well. So Google Analytics Insights 2020, remarketing audiences in Google Analytics. And again, it doesn't matter how much money you're spending on that, whether it's $500, $1,000, or $20,000. It is a great way to go to really dial in your marketing. On that note, we're going to move into Bert's 3 tips.
Ding, ding, ding. So going back to Google My Business, and we talked about that being almost like a social platform. It's a search engine, but have somebody manage that daily by posting and really engaging with people that comment on there, because people will comment and send you messages on there, and there's
reviews.
Nobody, and you don't have anybody at the store manning that, most likely. People just like,
messages and reviews right there on the Google My Business platform.
Responsive reviews and everything, versus usually most stores in reactive mode and like, oh shit, we got a 1-star review. Now let's react to it. What about the 5-star review? Well, hey, thank you for that. Do you have any friends or family? Maybe send them a Starbucks gift card. It's like, hey,
and if you're one of these smaller stores and you're wearing all of the hats, download the Google My Business app for Google, from Google Play or Apple apps, and you can respond and post right on your phone.
Safest way, tip number 2 is on your YouTube channel, have video test drives of your vehicles. Take some cars that may be in stock, and if it's slow, put somebody out there, do a 90-second or maybe a little 3-minute video of a test drive, a YouTube test drive for that vehicle. And then my 3rd tip, speaking of YouTube, who's the face of your store? Do you have somebody that's actually the face of the dealership? I had a dealer tell me yesterday they will absolutely not have a face for their store. And I'm like, well, that's you will absolutely continue to sell 60 cars a month. Good job.
Yeah.
And that is my tips of the day.
All right, cool. So Bert's 3 tips, Analytics 2020. Great episode. Thank you, David. Excited to get this one out. Unless you have, you know what? There's one other thing we wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about this.
Stack of Cardone tapes from Welcome 1998. Who do you appreciate? I've got my Cardone tapes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I know we were texting a little bit. A lot of great information, for me back when I was selling cars, utilizing tips and tricks from Grant in his automotive selling days. You can actually go to Grant's website, and we'll include it in the show notes here. But for $4.97, you can get his 8-hour live. I mean, they used to be like $500.
This was $500.
Yeah,
and this is the copies, which we will not say it was copies, but those were regenerated free copies. Sort of. But now for $4.97, but back then we went 100x more.
Yep.
497,
well, I'm telling
100x backwards.
It's as relevant today as it was then. Talking about, you got customers coming into your dealership looking for information. You got customers coming and say, I'm not buying today. I'm only looking for information. It's as relevant today as it was 20 years ago, as it was 20 years before that. So that's just another little MDP tip. $4.97 would be a very good investment. And
if you got a cassette player like me, you can still you can borrow my cassettes. Just send me a message, all right?
Yep. For David
and David,
that's a wrap.
Ew, David.